Welcome to the Concierge Medical Marketing Podcast, the show dedicated to helping concierge medical practices grow and thrive. Hosted by Stephen Schwartz, a digital marketing expert with over 25 years of experience and a passion for improving American healthcare by helping concierge medical physicians succeed. Here's Stephen Schwartz.
Hello, this is Steve Schwartz with the Concierge Medical Marketing Podcast. It's my pleasure to have you along on our journey today. I'm so excited to speak with Dr. Roger Moczygemba. Roger, did I get that right?
You got it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I'm going to call you Dr. Roger because I don't want to butcher your name. I thank you so much for taking the time to come on our podcast today and to have you share your story about being possibly the first DPC in San Antonio and your involvement with Teladoc and so many cool things that you shared with me before we started recording. So why don't we just jump right in? And Dr. Roger, please give us an idea of where you grew up and maybe what led you to become a doctor.
Great. Yeah, I grew up in South Texas. My ancestors settled the first Polish colony in America, so my name is Polish, in case you're wondering, the last name. Then, let's see, what you were asking, what kind of attracted me to medicine, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I always been fascinated by science and the way the body works from early on. And then I also, got some enjoyment from doing things for people. So over the years and throughout my education, I thought, I kind of gravitated towards medicine because I wanted to get in a career where I could serve, I could continue to learn, do things for people, and provide well for my family. So at a high level, that's what attracted me to medicine.
I love it. And you said you had originally started with an idea of focusing on, was it veterinary school?
Yes.
And then led to human patients instead?
Yes, that's true.
Very cool. Well, so tell us the journey from, let's say, medical school, and where did it go from, let's say, medical school that ended up being a DPC doc?
Okay, good question. That's a long journey because there's a lot of years in there. I trained in family practice in the Navy. I worked after that for a doc. Then I worked on my own for a little bit. And then I worked for a group. Then I worked on my own a little bit. And I launched another innovative idea about the time the internet was starting, where folks could schedule an appointment with me and I'd see them on time if they paid for their appointment through the internet. That was back when the internet was booming. So that I launched, but it didn't grow up too well because of some internal problems with my office. But it got me on the radar of another organization that I connected with in San Antonio of doctors. And through that organization, I met up with the founder of Teladoc, Michael Gorton. And so we connected, and he was looking for someone to help develop the physician side of Teladoc. So that was me and a couple of other docs in San Antonio. We formed the Teladoc Physician Association. So I was the president of that for the first 9 years. And that was a wonderful experience. I learned a lot. And we put a wonderful foundation of telemedicine in place, which didn't take off really until the pandemic, but then everybody was looking to do telemedicine, and it was extremely gratifying to know that we had laid the foundation for something that spun up to save lots of lives and take care of people in such a wonderful way during the pandemic.
That's amazing. And just the fact that you were an innovator and a builder, a thought leader, and building something that, as you said, helped millions of people during the pandemic. And obviously going forward, there's entire medical practices that are 100% telemedicine. There's different business spinoffs. There's so many things that foundation that you built with your team there helped laid and truly have helped so many people. And by the way, thank you for your service to our country in the U.S. Navy. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So that's really awesome. So how did you end up at DPC? What led you to learn about it? Where did you first hear about it? And what got you excited about it?
I was actually working in an urgent care clinic in Utah when I came across the idea. That urgent care clinic was a hybrid DPC, but I thought, wow, this is really cool. Employers are paying directly for the medical care. And it was such wonderful, high touch, high quality care that we were providing to those folks. And it was so refreshing to me, wonderful to experience that. And then after that, I ended up starting my own DPC in San Antonio. I mean, I grew up in medicine in San Antonio. So I thought, I know a lot of people in San Antonio and a lot of employers that I think would like this model. So that's kind of part of what led me back to San Antonio to Direct Med Clinic in San Antonio in 2017.
When you started your DPC practice, did you specifically want to target employer groups or mom and pops or both? What were your thoughts there?
I was thinking about focusing on employers because I see. Are you seeing that message there? Okay, now
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to go away.
I
Hit
got
the
it.
X in the corner there. All right. There we go.
Well, so in my early days of medicine, I learned how to take care of employers because there were direct contracts and agreements with employers, not DPC, but for other needs like injury care. So I learned what employers needed. I had relationships with employers, and it just made sense for me to talk about this direct care model with employers. So from the beginning, I did want to start with employers.
Nice. And, as far as from a business point of view, it certainly makes good sense to me that if you're going to spend the time and effort in marketing, if you could market to small to medium-sized businesses, and when they sign up with you, you can get 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 or more patients all at once, as opposed to doing the marketing and then getting one person or two or five, right?
Yes.
So that makes good sense to me in your marketing. What percentage of your current practice patients now are from employer groups versus not part of employer groups?
Probably more than three quarters are from employers.
Excellent. Do you find that it's just easier for you to run the business when you're focusing on employer groups?
I think in some ways it might be easier, in some ways it's not, because each employer group is a little bit different. And so we try to customize what we do for each employer group. So that's why we try to pay attention to what they need specifically.
What kind of needs would you say are the most commonly requested for an employer group?
Well, there's how do we handle labs and imaging? How is that cost paid for? Some employers will pay for that. Other employers would not. Larger employers might want to have a TPA involved. Smaller ones do not. A third-party administrator. And then with the larger employers, you have to have a knowledgeable advisor to help blend the needs for higher level of care with hospitalization and specialists and that kind of thing.
Right. So often when I talk to people about providing marketing for DPC and concierge practices, they still don't understand the concept. And they say, well, they don't take insurance. I said, well, some do, some don't. So I don't need insurance? I say, well, you still want to have insurance in case something big and bad happens that's going to land you in the hospital and you need a heart transplant or something awful like cancer. What do you recommend to people as far as how to utilize their DPC arrangement to the best benefit, cost and otherwise, while still managing some sort of major medical coverage?
Great question. So your DPC can cover 80 or 90% of what you would need, but you do need that higher level of care for the catastrophic things. So a indemnity plan, a cost sharing plan, something like that, in addition to the DPC, is something like what I would recommend.
And when you say a cost sharing plan, are you talking about like some of the Christian ministries that have, MediShare and those type of arrangements, or something not related to a faith?
Exactly. Well, there's the Christian health ministries and those kind of plans. And then there are some that I believe are not related to or that are not faith-based.
Right. In my past, I used a few of the health sharing ministries. Just, I love the discussion that the premiums could be dramatically less, but they would not cover anything that was a pre-existing condition, like not at all. And so, there was one particular medical issue, and they said, like I had back surgery 15 years ago for a herniated disc in my low back. Very common. People have this all the time. But they said, okay, well, anything that goes wrong with your back or your spine, we're not covering it. So I said, well, if I need another surgery one day for another herniated disc or something, nope, not covering it. Like, this is probably not going to work for me. And I think for younger people and people with no pre-existing conditions, it makes really good sense. But when you start to get a little older and or having medical issues, it becomes less advantageous. Would you agree?
Agree.
I would love to work with somebody and try to craft a true insurance plan that covers the major problems and issues that may come up, and then save all of the routine care, the annual physicals, issues with high blood pressure, or skin tags that typically a dermatologist would look at and then freeze off you or whatever and send to a pathology lab. Just that the DPC handles, like you said, 80 or 90% of that stuff, and literally just have an insurance coverage for the truly major crisis things that, or 6 figures or more if you end up in a hospital.
Exactly. Actually, a couple of years ago, I testified at the state capitol in Austin to a special committee on healthcare that we don't need insurance for primary care, period. I told them, we all have insurance for our cars, but we don't use it to change the oil or change the wiper blades, right? So insurance was designed as a hedge against the kind of problems that would break the bank.
Right. If you drive your car into somebody's house or multiple car pileup or something, worse, that's what insurance is, to cover those catastrophic situations. But like you said, not changing the oil, not changing the tires, not filling up with gas. Makes perfect sense. Great analogy. What did the state of Texas do with your testimony? What came of that?
I never heard anything back. It's an ongoing struggle to raise the awareness of what we do, but we're making progress because we keep growing, we keep representing and showing the good results that we get. It's just a matter of getting to kind of a tipping point, as a way to think of it.
I was going to use the word critical mass.
Yes.
Right. You get to a critical mass where it's like, this is undeniable. This is a movement. This is really happening. And it's truly a better way to provide primary care to people at less cost with better outcomes in many cases. So in fact, I remember reading something recently that there's something going on Capitol Hill right now that is bringing up these items in front of our federal legislators and whatnot. So it's exciting times to see how this unfolds over the next, let's say, 6, 12, 24 months at least.
Yes, for sure.
So let's shift our discussion just a little bit. You said when you started your practice, you were focusing on talking to employer groups, people you had personal relationships with. Was that the effort that you did that got you the majority of your patients that you have now? Or was that sort of a start and then you had to do marketing to get more patients?
That's a great question. It started with me talking to people that I knew, and I made friends with some folks that already had relationships with employers, like with brokers. And so that's where I started talking to them. And then that's what got us, a few patients coming in the door, and then started marketing to try to build up the brand recognition. So that's how we got started.
Nice. And obviously, for me, coming from the concierge medical marketing agency point of view, what techniques did you, your team, and or an agency that you hired, what did you do that you felt brought in the most new patients to your practice as far as the marketing techniques goes?
Yeah, okay. So we had our website, and we tried to keep the content. We were very selective with what the kind of content. In the early days, we felt like we had to do a lot of education to people.
Yes.
Okay. So we were doing that because we would explain it and they're like, okay, it sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? So we did a lot of education, and then we tried to tell a lot of stories through what we were doing. Stories are so impactful. And then we developed our presence on social media, and YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So we were trying to maintain relevant and up to date content with that. And I also had a guy that was going out to networking events and talking about what we do there. So that's
Nice. So I'm hearing a good combination of what we call the omnipresent approach. The idea is want to find you and your practice everywhere. So website, social media, educational content, video, plus boots on the ground humans going to local chamber of commerce and ribbon cuttings and networking events and things like that.
mm-hmm, exactly.
Great, great. And so looking at your practice now, can you tell us the number of practitioners you have, the structure of your business, and your patient size?
Yeah, we've got two wonderful docs working for us and a nurse practitioner. That's in addition to myself. We have two of our own brick and mortar locations, and we have an on-site clinic with a large employer. Things are going well there. Now, none of us docs have a full panel, so we're positioned to grow. We're still growing.
Excellent, excellent. That's exciting where you start from one doctor and a dream, and then now you've got three MDs, a nurse practitioner, two locations, plus a satellite on a client, and you're still growing. So that's awesome. How full do you think you are now as far as percentages? Can you take on, another 100 patients, another 500 patients? What would you consider you still need to grow to be full?
I'd say probably a few hundred patients to be full
Excellent.
right
So
now.
you got some room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit a full panel, what happens next? Do you keep growing and bring on another MD or NP, or you want to just kind of cruise there? What are your thoughts?
So I think that direct med clinic is blessed to be in a position where I can be kind of a buffer for growth. I can take on a lot of patients myself, but then if we have a great big batch of patients coming on board with an employer, I'm in a position to help that new doctor with those patients to start his panel growing. That's kind of the way we've been blessed to be able to grow so far.
Nice. You got so many good things happening for you. If somebody's in med school or residency or maybe working at a hospital or a clinic for somebody and they've recently heard about DPC and they're thinking, should I do it? Should I take this leap? Should I just keep up with the status quo? What advice would you give to somebody considering starting a DPC practice?
That's a great question. And I'm glad you mentioned someone in training looking at what they're going to do. They're not getting very much exposure to this model in their traditional medical training. And so a lot of times a person has a certain idea of what being a doctor is like. And when they get into the training, they're like, hey, wait, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Well, if they take a look at direct primary care, and if they want to be a primary care doc, they need definitely to look at direct primary care and shadow a DPC doc or get around the community a little bit through some meetings or whatnot and experience that, because it is, I wish I could have found it at the beginning of my career. It's such a refreshing and gratifying way to practice medicine because we get to spend time with our patients. We get to know them, and it's just a wonderful way to practice medicine. So get around it. Like, look at the Free Market Medical Association. They're focused on exposing students. Go to the DPC Summit. See if you can find a DPC doc in your area and take a good look at it if you're a medical student or a resident.
If somebody wants to speak with you about your experience and chat with you for a few minutes, is that something you're able and willing to do if they're considering going to start a DPC?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Sure.
very cool. How would people reach out to you? LinkedIn or some other way?
LinkedIn, our website is directmedclinic.com. They can find us on the internet. I could give you my phone number.
Sure. If you want to rattle it off, that's fine.
It's 210-264-5500. That's my cell phone number. Be happy to chat with anybody and share.
That's very, very kind and thoughtful of you, and really generous of you sharing your personal cell phone with the world here. My podcast goes out across the planet, so it's pretty cool that you're willing to do that for folks. One thing I've noticed in the DPC community is that people are so giving of their time, their knowledge, their experience. And, I don't hear people talking about competition. I hear people talking about working together and collaboration. And here's suggestions on how you can grow faster, grow better. What's the best EMR that you've used and you like? It's so wonderful to have that openness and caring within the community to help each other grow and truly make healthcare better for Americans and eventually the planet. I really believe that.
Yeah, I told the docs that have come to work for Direct Med Clinic that it's my goal to create an environment that you'll never want to leave. Where like you'll have good time to practice medicine the way you want with your patients, and then also income that you want, and then also balance that with lifestyle. So that's the goal. And so that's what we can do when we don't have to worry about the third party insurance, right?
Yeah, I came across so many different practitioners, MDs and NPs and folks who literally just were so burned out working under the traditional method of insurance-based medicine that they said, literally, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not what I signed up for, and I'm exhausted, and this is miserable. Go find a job doing something totally different or start a different business or whatever. And the more people I talk to who are providers in the membership medicine space love it, and really many don't have any plans for retiring that they've shared with me. I mean, eventually, sure, people are going to retire and say enough, but they enjoy what they do. They love going to work, and it's such a huge improvement that provides a satisfying life. And I think you've really just hit the nail on the head for the culture that you are growing and developing in your practice. So that's way to go.
One of the things that attracts doctors to DPC is that they're able to practice medicine the way they want. And if they find some things that are helpful for a person, but it's not reimbursed by insurance, they're still able to provide that for that patient of theirs. Whereas the docs that are in the traditional model, they don't have really the freedom to do that. So that's one of the things that's really refreshing to docs in the DPC model.
Yeah, and one other thing you just touched on is that you have the opportunity to specialize in some area within primary care. There's a practitioner who I interviewed yesterday for the podcast whose practice is, obviously general primary care, but she has a focus on chronic Lyme disease and helping the patients navigate Lyme. And it was an amazing story that she told, and I can't wait to publish that podcast for everyone to hear her story. But the ability that she knows extra about that topic, feels strongly about that topic, and provides specific extra care, patience, and understanding for that topic. And under traditional practice, I doubt she would have been able to have the leeway to do that. Would you agree?
Exactly right.
Oh, this sounds good. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me, Dr. Roger. This has been great. One final thing I want to talk about is that in 2025, at least in marketing circles, the buzz is AI. Everyone's talking about AI, how to use AI to do this, how to use AI to do that. My company has created a brand new AI digital marketing assistant. I call her Maddie, Maddy, and that's, for marketing assistant. But with Maddie, you can train her on your practice, your tone of your business's voice, how you speak, the services you offer, the marketing collateral that you have. It literally, you onboard your practice into it. And then from there, Maddie gives you email drip sequences and posts for Instagram and Facebook and blog post topics and all kinds of cool stuff. All that being said, are you doing anything right now to utilize AI in your medical practice?
Yes, we use on the clinician side, we use some AI to help us when we're looking up studies and that kind of thing.
That sounds
Not
great. Go
yes.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say AI is becoming a thing everywhere. So
Yes.
we need to be aware of it and learn how to use it. So kudos to you for that, providing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Over the last few weeks, I've created obviously Maddie. In fact, I wrote a book that is now uploaded to Amazon, and people can purchase the book there, uh, hard copy or download it. And it walks you through how to utilize Maddie, and more importantly than that, teaches you about digital marketing along the way. So it's a very cool book. But beyond that, I've created a SWOT analysis tool, an AI SWOT analysis for a concierge or DPC practice to use. And you, again, train it about your practice, and then it will give you the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your specific situation. I even created a different AI tool, which is the combination of a 10 plus year concierge slash DPC practitioner merged with a Columbia MBA. So it's like a medically focused business consultant to help practitioners with their business questions. And so this is the direction that I'm going, is basically building a toolkit of hyper focused, niche specific AI tools, bots, robots, whatever you want to call them. I don't really care. But the idea is that these tools can help practitioners with the issues and situations that they're facing in their practices to help them streamline, fix, improve, save time, save money. And I think it's really exciting to be on the cusp of this right now to help this niche grow and thrive with these AI tools. What are your thoughts about all that?
Stephen, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're doing that, especially for us DPC docs and concierge docs. That's wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. It's exciting for me. I love being in the creative mode of business. And the more I think of it, the more ideas I get to say, wow, we really need to have something that does such and such. Well, how would we build that? And we start working out that plan. So there's so many cool things that can be done. And as we build this for this specific niche, my thoughts are to work with other people on my team to develop similar tools for other medical industries. In other words, doing the same thing for, I don't know, dermatologists or OBGYNs or whoever, pick a specialty. But the idea is that we can prove that this model helps with this DPC AI toolkit, and then expand upon that so that these tools are made for other industries, other spaces in medicine, and then obviously beyond medicine to, roofing companies or lawn and landscape businesses or whatever. But the fact that there's so much cool things that can be done with AI, and I truly believe that right now we're just literally scratching the scratch of the surface. It's exciting times to be in this space.
That sounds awesome, but I would say you should stay focused on DPC and concierge.
Keep my mental focus in that space for you, right?
Yeah, like that's a little selfish ask for you.
That's fine with me. And if that's all I do, it would be time and effort very, very well spent. I mean, when it comes down to it, we're humans, we're biological creatures, we're spirit filled. And if our physical core, if our coil, as my professor said back in college, if our coil is starting to fail, there's not a whole lot that we can offer or add, right? So we need to have ourselves in a physical healthy position, a mentally and emotionally healthy position, and a spiritually healthy position. I'm a Christian, not afraid to say it. And I believe that as we get these areas in our life right, we can have a truly fulfilled, wonderful life, even though the challenges of life may come, because we know 100% that challenges will come, but we're able to better solve those issues and deal with those issues when health, emotion, and spiritual all work together. And from everybody I've talked to in the DPC and concierge space, we're doing something that's really helping people. And the more people that learn about it, the more people sign up and get to enjoy the benefits of membership medicine for themselves. And I'm thrilled to partner with you in this endeavor.
Yes, very, very well said. Another way I've heard it said is, we can't help anybody else if our plate's empty, right?
Absolutely. Yep. You can't fill up anybody else's cup if your bucket's dry as well, right?
Right.
So good. Well, I just want to say one final thing is that through my agency, Concierge Medical Marketing, we help practices with the things they need to succeed in their businesses. And whether that's a DPC practice or a concierge practice, our focus as an agency is membership medicine, right? And so we've worked up 3 different programs that we can offer that help practitioners. The first is transition for practices that are in an insurance-based situation and they want to transition their, go from 3 or 5,000 patients down to 3 to 500 patients in their membership practice. We can help with that. Number 2 is growth, and that's where we can work with a practice to help with their digital marketing, their website, their outreach and whatnot, so that the right patients, at this point leads, find the practice and come into the funnel and go through the process to become patients. Third and final, we offer nurture. And the idea there is for a practice that's already full, maybe they even have a waiting list, and they don't need to market to get new patients. They're full. So you still want to stay in touch with your patients with email, with text messages, with occasional ads that they'll see on the internet, even maybe quarterly, get together, wine and cheese parties and some music and hang out with your doctor and the team and just meet people and have a community. So these are the 3 programs that we offer. I wrote a book called The Definitive Guide to Winning with Digital Marketing for Concierge Medical Practices. And that book is available totally for free from our website. The address is conciergemd.marketing. Scroll down the page to the space where you see a picture of the cover of the book. Put in your email address and hit the submit button, and our system will send you a copy of that book totally free. Please take it with my compliments, read the book. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. It'll be my pleasure to speak with you and try to help in any way that I can. Dr. Roger, this has been such a pleasure getting to know you better today and sharing your story. Do you have any final thoughts or comments that you want to share with our listeners before we sign off for today?
Just thank you, Stephen, for inviting me to be on the podcast. And I'd be happy to chat also with anybody that wanted to learn a little bit more about my story, what we do. But thank you for
Truly, really my pleasure. Dr. Roger from Direct Med Clinic, I thank you for your time. God bless. Keep up the great work that you do. Thank you for being such an awesome guy and sharing your story today and sharing your willingness to help other folks who are considering DPC. And folks, thank you for listening to the Concierge Medical Marketing Podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, and all that cool stuff that we do so that we can get this message out to more people successfully and really, truly elevate medical care for everybody. Thanks so much, everyone. See you soon. We'll see you on our next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to the Concierge Medical Marketing Podcast. Please subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and stay connected with us on social media. To speak with Stephen Schwartz about growing your concierge medical practice, give him a call at
772-304-2420
or visit our website at conciergemd.marketing. We will see you next time.